Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Surviving and Thriving the Black Experience, where we uncover the roots of our resilience and celebrate the power of our lived truth and the truth we tell. Last week, I explored the topic of the origin of the divide and how systemic forces fractured our communities, our identities, and even our connections to one another. I dug into the historical moments and policies that created separation, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Today, I'm going to shift our focus to something just a little bit more powerful, called the legacy of survival tactics. In the face of division, our people didn't just endure. We adapted, we resisted, and we created pathways to protect ourselves and our culture. From code switching to kinship networks, from spirituals to silence, these were not just reactions, they were strategies. Now let's talk about what we inherited and how we're still using, reshaping, and reclaiming these tools today. Let's get into it. So when we talk about survival, we often think about life or death situations. But for African Americans, survival has long meant more than physical safety. It's been about navigating systems designed without us in mind. Today, we're diving into how historical survival tactics continue to shape the way many Black professionals show up in modern office spaces. So let's go back over 400 years. We've developed complex strategies for survival in the face of systemic oppression. So from slavery to Jim Crow to corporate glass ceilings. During slavery, survival meant masking pain, hiding intelligence, and performing passively to avoid brutal punishment. Enslaved Africans learned to read people's emotions, anticipate danger, and self-regulate under extreme stress. These weren't just habits, they were necessities and necessary to stay alive. So let's fast forward to the modern day Jim Crow's America, where the concept coined by W.E.B. Du Bois, double consciousness, reigned supreme. It's described as the internal conflict of being both Black and American, which is also seeing oneself through the eyes of another. Black Americans learn to navigate white spaces carefully, often code switching and modifying their language, tone, and body language to appear non-threatening and professional. Let's step into the modern day office, where many of these behaviors, rooted in historical survival, now play out unconsciously and consciously, in conference rooms as well as during performance reviews. But we're going to go ahead and talk about just a few other behaviors. In alignment with survival tactics, code switching, the linguistic shift that many Black professionals make to sound more acceptable to predominantly white environments, is often subconscious. It's about protection from judgment, stereotypes, and from exclusion. The behavior of being an overperformer. Now, we've definitely all heard this before. You got to be twice as good to get half the recognition. This stems from a deeply ingrained need to prove worth in systems that have long questioned your value. Next, I'll move on to the topic of masking emotional regulation as well as hypervigilance. So, masking and emotional regulation is the pressure to appear calm, composed, and agreeable, even in the face of microaggressions, at which I'll be going over further in future videos. It's a holdover from centuries of needing to suppress emotions to avoid punishment. Hypervigilance is reading the room, anticipating the shift in tone, and preemptively adapting. These are not just soft skills, they are generational tools for survival, and for some. Office culture has become another battlefield for psychological warfare. So you may ask, what can you do? Or what can we do in a modern tense when having to go through all of these things or knowing these things from the past? Well, you can learn the history, not just for your pride, but to know and recognize systems at play. Keyword, systems. Learn when and how to bring your full self into a room and be proud. Set boundaries early, not when you've experienced a microaggression or not when you've already been triggered. Set that the moment you come through the door. Your tone isn't aggressive, it's confident. Don't adjust who you are. Adjust the culture around you by being yourself, consistent, excellent, and assertive. While many survival tactics can be done by yourself with internal work and or by being brave, there's also a time and place for a network and or a team and or a group. And today, networking is still just as essential. What I will say is do not wait for a mentor or a mentorship to seek you. Go find it. Find people who are a step or two ahead of you and can open the door for you to walk through that you've been looking to walk through, and stay humble. Join Black professionals in your industry. And this isn't just for a social gathering or to get a cocktail. It's strategic. So for this part, I need you to go ahead and literally, as it states, to get your pen and your paper ready. I need you to imagine me passing this light of hope and or this light of knowledge over to you, because I'm going to go ahead and give you those gems. So I need you to go ahead and have your capacity ready to go ahead and take in this information. So when I think of my younger self, I think of so much time and energy I spent wasting, not taking heed and letting my emotions take over. And so what I will say as a full grown woman now, I wish I can sit back on my younger self and say, honey, it's going to be okay. You're going to be all right. So I'm here to tell you, my listener, it's going to be okay. You will survive the storm, and Candace Renee is going to help you through it. So with that being said, rule number 1 states it directly right here in all capital letters. Do not waste your time. What I mean by that is when you are working within a company, do not waste your time within a company with all these emotions when something goes wrong. Survival tactic number 1, don't waste your time. But what you need to in fact do is to make sure that while you are within a company, that you do in fact take the time to learn, to be a force to be reckoned with. And the only way that you are able to in fact be able to do that is to learn the company. Learn the values, learn the metric system, learn the sales, learn the KPI, learn the client retention, learn the mission statement, learn the goals and objectives, learn the policies, learn the procedures, and speak the language. You may ask, Candace Renee, why am I doing all this? Like, if I'm not going to be here forever, what do I need to do? You're not doing that for them. You're doing that for you, so that when you have your own business, you know how to talk. You know how to strategize. You know how to meet clients' needs. Do you get it? I hope you got that. Document, document, document. I cannot say this enough. Documentation is so important. I want to let you know why I in fact put this picture specifically here. While, as you may know, I have stated before, like, I make all of my pictures, but I chose this one specifically. And I created this one specifically because I wanted to show the emotion. As Black people, we do not take the time to stay in sadness. We don't. We've been forced to move on so quickly that we won't even let pain touch us. We don't let things hurt us at all because we have to be so resilient. We are human. And at the end of the day, hurt is hurt and pain is pain. So, survival tactic number 2, make sure you have your documentation. And when I said in regards to whether it is a sunny day and or whether there's a rainy day, you need to make sure that you in fact have your documentation, because the weather can change at any time. Those relationships, if you want me to be very direct, relationships with people can change at any time. And you need to make sure that you have your ducks, metaphorically, your ducks in alignment to make sure that you can weather the storm. So I will say this again. Document, document, document everything. So human resource. So what are you documenting for, right? You may ask that question. Well, if you in fact ran across a discrepancy at work, I would hope that no one ever has to, but if you ever do, because it does happen, you would talk to a person in or department called human resources. Now, survival tactic number 3. Remember, HR is not your friend. HR is there for the company, and they look in regards to accountability as well as liability. When you speak to HR, should you ever have to, leave the emotions out of it and make sure it's factual and truth. And lastly, but most importantly, know when it's time to leave. Survival doesn't mean staying in a harmful place. It means knowing when to pivot and when to, sometimes metaphorically, get out of Dodge. Survival used to mean suppressing feelings and powering through it, but thriving requires rest, healing, and clarity. Therapy is not just a luxury, it's a strategy. You have to process racial battles because the fatigue can burn you out. Our ancestors survived with limited resources. There was no therapy for them, and relentless systems working against them. But you and me, we have their strength and more options. So don't just work to survive. Work towards getting your own and creating your own destiny. Know your value, protect your peace, and build your own legacy. So my final words are, you are wonderfully and uniquely made. Don't let anyone dictate the path that you take. You are your own driver, guide, and storyteller. You are your ancestors' wildest dream. So from Surviving and Thriving the Black Experience with Candace Renee, I'd like to say thank you so much. As you know, I've tried to create like my own niche. I know there are not too many, videos that go over these topics in regards to historical wisdom, as well as the concept of just understanding and giving real world experiences of like what to do in such or certain situations and things as such. And I really, my goal of all of my videos are for you to have a aha moment, drop a gem, for you to be able to drop that gem on somebody else, so that you can go ahead and light their beacon of hope and their beacon of courage. So next week, I'll be going over the respectability complex with my guest, Jessica, who is a mother of 2 African American girls. She'll be going over the concept of policing. She'll go over the concept of her children's identity as well as her identity as a wife. And she'll also be going over how she navigates the world as a parent. So I can't wait to see you next week. From Surviving and Thriving the Black Experience, be blessed.